Everything in my life seems to have been related to food and weight in some way. And I remember when I was 12, I went to my first dietitian. Mum took me and I was on a diet because I was going to high school the next year and needed to lose weight for that. And I think that was the start of a dieting battle, I suppose, that I've had my whole life. 8 years ago, I was 150 kilos, and that was when I was at my heaviest, and that was really, really hard. That was very isolating, and I didn't go many places, didn't socialise, and that was really tough. So when I was on Weight Watchers, weigh-in day was on a Saturday morning, and so we'd go, Mum was on Weight Watchers with me as support, and we would go and weigh in the morning, and then we'd go and have whatever we wanted for breakfast. And so that became a treat every Saturday, and then the breakfast became breakfast, lunch and dinner, and it became a treat day. After a while of doing that, it became a day where I would just eat all day. It became longer and longer and longer. And it got to the point where I was getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning and starting the day with 3 or 4 ice creams, 8 pieces of toast, and I wouldn't stop eating until it was time to go to bed that night. So it became 6 days of really strict dieting, and to the point where I'd open a chocolate for a child and there'd be a tiny bit on my finger and I'd have to go and wash it. So I became quite obsessive on the 6 days. I wouldn't eat anything bad. I'd hardly eat anything at all, if I'm honest. And then on the Saturday, I would go crazy. So it became a treat day, but it was an out of control treat day. And then I got diagnosed with binge eating disorder as a result of that. So it was a couple of years of deprivation on 6 days a week with the one day. So I was still losing weight because I was exercising so much, but I was tormented by not eating on 6 days so I could eat on one day, which is why going out on the 6 days were almost impossible, because I didn't want to sort of take any extra calories in on those days, because it would affect my ability to eat on the Saturday. So the exercise became an obsession. I went from not wanting to walk into a gym to being there 6-7 days a week. I decided to start running. I set a goal to do the City to Surf by my personal trainer, and I'd never run before. I was 39 and I'd never run, and I thought I can never do that. So, but I thought, no, I can do it. I've come this far, and I started running, and it became an obsession. My friend Helen, she did my first fun run with me. It was 13 Ks, Nike She Runs the Night, and I'd have to say it was probably the worst hour or hour and a half of my life and her life. I was dragged around Centennial Park, but we got to the end, and it was an achievement. And after that, I got the bug, and I decided that running was good. And the goal was a half marathon before I turned 40. So I did become obsessed. I'd go and do a spin class, but for half an hour before the spin class, I'd run on the treadmill, and I'd run on the treadmill half an hour after the spin class, because it became an obsession. So that was the motivating factor to get my weight down, and I did achieve it, and I did do a half marathon and loved it, but I couldn't maintain that level of exercise. And then my personal trainer, I think I'd got to 80 kilos, and my personal trainer said 75 would be great, and that became another obsession to get to 75. And when I got to 75, you discover that you're still not happy with a lot of things, and I think that's when it all started to fall apart, in terms of I lost the obsession to get any lower because it was just too hard. I lost 80 kilos at that point and kept it off pretty much for the next 6 years, and then in the last year or so I put on 20 kilos and then went back to that hard time in my life where things were sort of spiralling out of control, in terms of going back to that place where I didn't socialise and that kind of thing. So before I started the SuperFastDiet, I was putting weight on, and it was getting harder again. And then I just started trying everything. So I tried, my personal trainer helped me with some diets. I tried a high protein diet, which didn't work for me. I've tried Light and Easy, I've tried Jenny Craig, and I think it just became a constant battle of that I've got to lose weight but nothing's working. So for me, if I don't have a motivator, then it's really hard to stay on track. And it was just, I was almost throwing money at everything just to try to find something that worked. And I just couldn't sort of get that answer. The dieting's all been based on fear. So it's fear of putting on weight, fear of not being able to eat what I want, fear of being hungry. There's always a fear. And the weight started coming back on because I'd lost the obsession a little bit, and the treat days probably became a weekend and then become a Wednesday night as well as the weekend, and it was this constant battle of wanting to be a low weight but also wanting to eat. So that was the torment, I suppose, of that time. If the scale went down, then I'd achieved that goal for the week. But if it went up, that was devastating. So in February of this year, I had put on probably over 20 kilos in the last 12 months, even though I'd been on light and easy and I'd been on Jenny Craig and been doing all that kind of thing. And I was just pretending it wasn't happening, but I was going up and up. And my good friend Helen, she said to me, you need to join this Facebook group because we're starting on Monday. And I said, no, I'm not starting on Monday. I can't do that because I've got binge eating disorder and it's going to make me eat on the other days. And then I had a list of why I'm not doing it. And being the good friend that she is, she said to me, no, we're starting on Monday and I'll do it with you, and that's what we're doing. And I so didn't want to do it, but I thought, she's told me, she's there, we'll do it, I'll try it. It's not going to work. It's definitely not going to work because I won't be able to do this, but we're starting tomorrow. And that's where it all started. The first 3 or 4 weeks were really, really hard. I fast on a Monday and a Thursday. I didn't tell anybody, so the only person that knew was Helen because I knew it wasn't going to work. And I didn't want to tell anyone at work. I didn't want people asking me why I wasn't eating. But after about 3 or 4 weeks, you just get so used to it and it becomes, relatively easy. So yeah, it was tough in the beginning, but the weight just started falling off, so it was worth it at that time. Interestingly, it's the first time there hasn't been that feeling of deprivation, and I think that's the main difference. And that sounds silly, and it would sound silly to me if someone said it without trying it to me, because it's actually taught me how to be hungry. I was always really, really scared of being hungry, and that's why I never wanted to go on a diet, because there was always going to be times when I was just too hungry and I wouldn't be able to do anything and cope with that. But this has taught me being hungry is actually good. I've been doing this way of eating for about 7 months now, and I've lost approximately 21 kilos in that time, and 3 dress sizes. So that's exciting in itself. So life now is so much easier, and I'm so much happier in every aspect. And I think it's the first time in my life, so that's over 30 years of dieting, the first time in my life that I just go, do you know what, you've got this. You've found something that works. You've got people around you that support you with it, and it's something you can do. So I think that's the difference from all the diets that I've been on. This is something that is working, that's making me happy, that I'm not obsessed with. They're rules that can be broken, and nothing bad's going to happen. But the social side of talking to people and being engaged with people is huge. And I think SuperFastDiet and this way of life has given me that. And after trying things for 30 years, that is absolutely huge that I can get that from something that's so simple. What I would tell someone who's sitting at home 160 kilos with boxes of cheesels in their cupboard waiting to be eaten and planning, what bad things to eat next, what would I tell them? I'd tell them, try it, because you'll be surprised how easy it is and how life-changing it is. Life can be so much better than where you are now, and that's what I would tell myself. And life is so much better surrounded by people that care, and having a support system and just doing something good for you. The SuperFastDiet works, and I was the one that said it wouldn't, and I know when I was back at that place I'd be just going, they're just crazy, but it actually does, it works, and it's the easiest thing I've ever done.